Right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining our ESS Wellness webinar. I am Katrina Francis, one of the Nutrition and Wellbeing Engagement Officers, and I shall be hosting today's webinar on men's health. Now, if you are a woman and you have tuned in today, please do not tune out. I'm sure we all know a male, whether it be a friend, a family member, or a colleague, and it's really important to sort of know about their own health and how we can support them too. So this is an inclusive webinar for everybody to find out a little bit more about men's health. So a little bit of background about men and their health. So the reason why we're looking at men's health for this webinar is because it's Men's Health Week next week. It is run by a UK-based charity, Men's Health Forum, which basically the aim is to try and improve the health of men and boys. I think we can all agree that health is an extremely important part of everybody. It's probably one of the single most important things that we own, our health. Obviously, if we're in bad health or in poor health, then it can affect us and how we perform on a day-to-day basis. And also in the worst case scenario, if we are in really poor health, then it can lead to death. And actually, too many men are dying too young. It's suggested that in the UK, 1 in 5 men die early, and that is before the ages of 65. Now, considering the average life expectancy for a man is around the 81-year mark, this falls very far below that. The main reasons are actually from heart disease, suicide, and cancers. So 3/4 of premature deaths from heart diseases are from men. 3/4 of suicides are men, and also men are more likely to die from cancer, the most common one being prostate cancer, which I'll go on to talk about shortly too. The main reasons may be because men are less likely to go to a GP or to the pharmacy when they are feeling that something is up, which I think I'm going to echo throughout today's webinar, that if you do feel like something is wrong, something pops up that you're unsure about, please obviously go and speak to your GP. That's what they're there for, and so on. And also I think it probably stems from old stereotypes, maybe less aware of actually what they need to be looking out for in terms of their health, whereas women speak a lot more and a lot more open about their own health and well-being. So this year, the Men's Health Forum encouraged men to take part in an health MOT. So obviously your car gets one regularly, yearly, but they are questioning, what about you? When do you take the time to regularly check in with yourself? So they have come up with 7 quick and easy health checks, which actually you can do while you are at home. And I'm going to run through those with you today. So number 1 is to check, is your engine turning? So to check your resting heart rate. You can do this by using your 2 fingers, so your index finger and your middle finger, and finding a pulse either within your wrist or within your neck. Personally, I find it easier on the neck, but obviously wherever you can find it. And they recommend that you count your beats over 4 15-second periods and then add them up. Or you can do it for 15 seconds and multiply by 4, just so you don't lose track of what number you're on and so on. Then you would compare it to the table which is shown to see which category you would fit in, so either very fit, average, or unfit. Please don't worry about having to do this at this moment in time, counting as I'm going through. All of our webinars are uploaded onto our We Are ESS YouTube channel, so you can catch up afterwards and get this information at a later date. And the idea is that if you are in or close to the unfit range, you need to consider, are you doing enough activity and enough exercise? Just like any muscle within our body, we need to give it work to make it stronger. So you may go cycling and you notice that your calf muscles get stronger, or if you're going to the gym and hitting some weights, that obviously your biceps get stronger, and so on. The same goes for your heart. And the activity that we want to be doing to benefit our heart, keep our heart healthy, is in particular aerobic exercises. So things such as walking, jogging, or cycling. If you're unsure whether you're able to participate in that sort of exercise, whether it be a health condition or you're just not used to doing much exercise at the moment, Obviously, start gradual and check with your GP just to make sure that everything is okay. Second check is, are you overloaded? So to check your waist measurement, you can do this in two ways. The first one is to grab yourself a tape measure and measure the widest part of your waist. This is usually around your belly button. And then depending on what figure that will give you, depends whether you're overweight and at risk of diseases. So anything over 37 inches may show that you are at risk of diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, and cancers. Another one is to look at your height to waist ratio. So this will then take into account if you're obviously a lot taller than others, or perhaps if you're a lot shorter, and that you may be slightly wider around the waist because of your stature and so on. So for this one, you would measure a piece of string, the height of yourself. You then would like to fold the piece of string in half and measure it again around your waist. If the two ends meet, then that's fantastic. Then it's considered that you have a healthy weight or healthy waist circumference. If not, then obviously you may want to try and reduce some of the weight around your waist. We can't specifically focus on weight loss on the waist or within that area, but obviously with weight loss, it will hopefully drop from all of those places. The reason why we're so interested in waist circumference is because this is where our more dangerous as such fat is stored, so around our middle, and it's around our organs, and we want to try and reduce that where we can. So check number 3 is to look out for warning lights on your dashboard. So you know yourself and your body more than anybody else. Obviously, you take your body everywhere with you, it doesn't get left behind. And if you do notice any changes, it's likely that you will notice them before obviously anybody else. So check yourself for moles, which may be changing shape, unexplained lumps, shortness of breath, chest pains, swelling or itching, a cough that won't go away. Obviously over COVID, everyone assumed it's a cough, but could it be something a little bit more sinister? Blood or saliva in stools or changes in your bowel habits. Now, these may not be anything to worry about, but if there is something that causes that you notice a change, it's always best to get it tested and checked straight away by your GP. If you leave it longer and it is something more serious, then obviously it may be harder to treat and so on. Test number 4 is to check for a wobbly gear stick. So although we may not feel comfortable talking about it, erection problems are actually very common. We're not talking about that one-off time where perhaps you can't get an erection, it's when it happens regularly. And there are problems which may be underlying, which is causing that. So actually it does threaten your sex life. It could be early warning signs of heart disease, diabetes, high blood pressure or depression. And it could also be a sign of high cholesterol or low testosterone. So again, it's really important. It may be something underlying to just go have that conversation, and actually they'll probably look into some of these things instead of asking you directly about something quite personal, perhaps. The next check, or check 5, is to check your water. So are your toiletry habits changing? Are you going to the toilet more often? Does it become a lot less easier to pass fluid and to pass urine? Has the flow perhaps become weaker? Do you get up often within the night? And this is all related to our prostate. And our prostate is a gland. It's roughly the size and shape of a walnut naturally, and it sits just underneath the bladder, as you can see in the diagram, and it surrounds the urethra. And that's where the urine flows. Now, the reason why we have a gland is because it produces a fluid which mixes with sperm and it creates semen. Men, trans women, non-binary people who were assigned male at birth, and some intersex people will all have prostates. Now, unfortunately, there are certain things which can go wrong with our prostates. One of them is an enlarged prostate, which I say go wrong, but actually this is very natural and it is very common, especially over the ages of 50. This is when you'll notice changes with your toiletry behaviours and so on. go to the toilet more often or weaker flow and that sort of thing. Not necessarily anything wrong, it is very common. Another common thing is proteitis. Took me a while to try and learn that just before this session, but it's basically a name given to a set of symptoms which are thought to be caused due to an infection from the prostate. And again, this is very common, and it's actually usually in younger men, so people aged between 30 and 50. And the main symptoms of this are pains. So you may experience pain within your testicles or within your groin, your abdomen, inner thigh, back pain, and that's the sort of things that you would be looking out for to see if this would happen. So both of these are normal, they can happen. It does not necessarily mean there's anything sinister going on, but they may also occur next to or with prostate cancer. And obviously prostate cancer is a lot more serious. It's when the cells within the prostate grow uncontrollably. And we all know obviously cancer is not the nicest of things and can be hard to treat. Unfortunately, with prostate cancer, during the early stages, we don't actually necessarily have any symptoms. That's why it can be quite hard to identify. But obviously, if you notice any changes, just go and get it checked. Is it normal? Is it not? Because the GP will be able to check that. And prostate cancer is the most common cancer in men. Obviously, it does lead to deaths. 1 in 8 men will get prostate cancer during their lifetime. And if you are over 50, Black, or if your father or brother has it, you are actually at a higher risk. So it is again recommended that you go for regular checks. You can check yourselves as well for those and see if you notice any changes. Check number 6 is for your day-to-day performance. So how are you feeling? And then asking yourself, how are you really feeling? Are you motoring along smoothly, or actually are you struggling at points? Mental health is so important. As highlighted earlier, we don't just die from physical conditions such as heart disease, cancers and so on, but actually suicide within men is extremely high as well. So it's really important that we look out for that. And a high percentage of men, well, this one says 13.5% of men in the UK have a common mental health problem, depression, anxiety, panic disorders, OCD. But actually, the likelihood is that figure is a lot higher than what it is, because like I've said, men don't tend to speak about how they're feeling. They don't tend to go to doctors, get that diagnosis. So actually that figure is probably a lot higher than what it shows on there too. So if you are suffering from poor mental health, or if you know someone who may be, you may want to try the Can Do challenge. Now, this was set out by the Men's Health Forum last year for their Men's Health Week, to focus on men's health and embracing 5 ways to well-being. So the Can Do approach is as follows. So connect. So contact others, reach out, drop somebody a message and let them know that you are there. And there is good evidence to suggest that being close to and valued by others can really boost your well-being as well. And actually, 2 of you are struggling connecting, and finding that connection is really important as well. Be active. So try, if you can, get out in nature, do small amounts of exercise whenever you can. Even just a little bit will help. Whenever we exercise, we're out in nature, moving, we're releasing those happy hormones which do make us feel better and boost our overall mood too. Notice. So try and be present. Notice changes around you, making sure you're taking time to put your phone down, shutting your laptop off, and just making that effort with those around you, breathing, slowing down, and just being present can help with our mood and overall well-being. Discover. So continuously try and seek opportunities to learn, to go somewhere new, to develop yourself. And also by continuously learning, it can protect ourselves, making our brains constantly working, ticking over again. We need to use something to keep its health and strength up, can reduce things such as dementia. And finally, offer. So give something to others. So this may be your time, simply just picking up the phone and giving somebody 5 minutes, a gift, a note in somebody's lunchbox if you make your lunch for your husband or whatever it may be, or your son. this not only actually makes somebody else feel better, but knowing that you're making someone else feel better can also have a positive impact on ourselves as well. And the final check is to check your pressure. So we are referring to your blood pressure on this occasion. So you can either get this checked by going to a GP or a pharmacy. They often are able to do checks just at a local pharmacy, or you can buy a tester to use at home. There you can buy them in stores, online, and so on. Make sure when you are doing this that you are at rest. So make sure you're sat down, perhaps not done anything for 5 minutes after a cup of tea or whatever it may be, so that you're getting a true value of what it is, because obviously this can vary massively throughout the day. If you've been in a rush, if you're anxious, if you're worried, loads of things may affect this. And again, you've got those values there for what's considered low, healthy, and high, which you can refer back to if you've not got a chance to write it down, either on the internet or going back to our YouTube channel to rewatch it. Now, high blood pressure can increase your risk of multiple other heart conditions, most commonly known as cardiovascular diseases. And cardiovascular disease is a general term for conditions affecting your heart or other blood vessels. There are certain things which can increase our risk of cardiovascular disease. Obviously, one of them is a high blood pressure. And some of the NHS statistics show that men do consume more salt than women, and actually that can increase our blood pressure. Smoking, again, it's seen that men tend to smoke more cigarettes daily than women. High consumption of alcohol, which again, men do tend to consume a higher level or a hazardous level of alcohol compared to women. High cholesterol levels can increase our chances of heart diseases, strokes, obviously eating red processed meats and things like that, full fat dairy products, butter, lards can all increase our cholesterol. And also having other complications such as diabetes can increase our risk, inactivity, and being overweight or obese too as well. And it is shown that men are more likely to develop heart disease at an earlier age than women. And that is mainly because of some of those statistics that perhaps we participate in activities and our diet and physical activity isn't matches some of those risk factors too. So how can we look at maintaining our overall physical health? There's obviously multiple things, and we can't protect ourselves completely and say if we do all of these things we're not going to get cardiovascular disease or we're not going to get prostate cancer and so on, but they certainly can maintain your overall physical health. So first of all, it is recommended to stop smoking. It is considered to be the single best thing that you can actually do for your health, whether you're going to completely stop or gradually start to reduce. Obviously that is better than having the amount that you may be having so far. And a reminder that GPs will help you with this. There's loads of stop smoking services available, so please obviously look into that if it's something you're serious about and you really want to try and quit smoking. Have a balanced diet, so reducing your levels of saturated fats, salts and sugars which are linked to other health complications, and increasing the amount of fibre you're consuming, so whole grains, fruits and vegetables. Exercise regularly, so if we can, trying to do a little bit every day, whether it's just 10 minutes, absolutely fine. Over the week, it's recommended to do 150 minutes of moderate or 75 minutes of vigorous. Obviously, this may seem a big step up for some people, so just try and do it gradually. Something that's a little bit more achievable, is obviously a little bit is always better than nothing. Maintain a healthy weight. So a combination of healthy eating, being active, getting enough sleep, managing your stress will hopefully obviously help with your weight management. A lot of people often think it's just energy in compared to energy out. Of course, that's really important, but we need to be looking at other factors within our lifestyle that may be leading us to eat more because we're not getting enough sleep and so on. Cut down on alcohol, so drink no more than 14 units a week. Again, this should be over a minimum of 3 days. So we want to try and spread the amount of drinking out. We don't want to be binging it all because that can be really detrimental to our health as well. And finally, consider medicine or medication. So in some cases, you may actually be given medication to try and help with your own physical health. And some people are like, no, don't want to be taking medicines. Fantastic if you want to try and do that through diet and exercise. Obviously, first protocol, that is fantastic. But if it doesn't work, don't always say no and bear away from it. Obviously, if they're going to put you on statins for high cholesterol, and that's going to bring it down, it's obviously going to lower your risk of cardiovascular disease and so on. And then finally, how can we support men's mental health? So talk about it, start conversations about it. Society's expectations and traditional gender roles mean that actually men are less likely to discuss and seek help for their mental problems. Make sure you're talking to your friends, talking to one another about mental health, opening up, keeping in touch with people. Very hard sometimes when we all live very busy lifestyles, but just a quick check-in can really help that. Be men kind. So it's important to take care of yourself and get the most out of life as well. So look after your physical health. This in turn will help your mental health. Practice self-kindness and so on. Also gaining understanding of what relationships you may also have with other men and thinking about how you may be able to support them. And that is obviously how you can support other men. Women have traditionally looked out for men's health, but we all have a role in doing so. So let's try and break some of those traditional beliefs, remind men that it is okay to show emotions, to cry, need a hug, to talk about problems, and so on. There is actually a really useful resource which I came across when building this webinar. It is a Nuffield Health resource, but how to look after your mate's guide found it really useful. And then finally, listen. So letting them know that you are there and just letting them be open. Don't be judgmental and just let them open up when they are ready. So in summary, we all have a responsibility to look out for our own health and the well-being of others, which is why at the start of the course, like women, don't turn off. We all obviously play a role. We want to be supportive of each other. Prioritise your health. So actually think about putting your health at the top sometimes. Think about your physical and your mental health and prioritising that, as with if you're at work, you'd obviously prioritise what's important, what perhaps could be left a little bit later on. It's the same with your health. Although some diseases, some illnesses aren't preventable, there are certain things that we can do to lower our risk, as stated on that maintaining physical health slide. Reminder that men, you're not alone. Please do reach out and get support where you need. Loads of helplines. We've obviously got mental health first aiders within the business. Please do reach out and anyone will be happy to help. And there are loads of resources to help you. So if actually you're not quite ready to talk to somebody, you can go online, you can research more. Just put some on there as an example. Mental Health UK, Men's Health Forum, which is the charity which obviously put together those 7 simple checks and health checks that you can do at home. NHS website, we know it's a reliable resource. It's got loads of information, cardiovascular disease, prostate cancer, things which are specific to men as well. And on that, I would just like to highlight some of the resources which I came across on the Men's Health Forum website, that charity. It's got loads of very short reads. So if you've just got 5 minutes to read up on something, you've got all of those. So quick wins, some of the hard stuff to talk about, whether it be erection problems, suicidal feelings. There's obviously loads of different things, and they are very short articles to hopefully get you or inform you a little bit more. There is a questionnaire to look at how are you really. So you can go through this yourself, and then obviously it might come up with an answer at the end. There's loads of booklets as well. I believe those 2, the sizes and everything, and the Man MOT for the Mind, are currently free to download as a PDF, or at least they were when I was looking into this. So you may as well, if there are resources there to take them, go and have a look, download them and have a read. And also this year, they're encouraging men or women to join a campaign for a men's health strategy. So looking at what we can do as a nation to try and support men's health as well. So it's worth just having a look on there. So thank you very much all for listening and joining today's webinar. Really good turnout actually, so I'm really pleased with that. Obviously it's a very important topic. You can watch this back by visiting our We Are ESS YouTube channel, and obviously don't forget about all the other resources you can read up in our newsletter about this week, upcoming and so on. If you do have any questions, please drop us an email and we're happy to support where we can. Thank you very much everybody and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.